Someone close to you says everything is fine, and yet the quiet that follows feels heavier than any argument could. If that has already happened today, Capricorn, there is a reason for it, and it has almost nothing to do with what that person is hiding. It has to do with a question you have not asked yet. Today's sky is built around exposure. Not the dramatic, public kind, the quiet kind, where money, trust, and closeness stop being polite topics and start demanding honesty. What looks like distance right now may actually be an invitation, and the shape of that invitation is what we are about to unpack. The bigger picture. The defining event of the day is a new moon in Leo, and this one carries extra weight because it arrives as a solar eclipse. From the Western tropical perspective, it lands in your 8th house, the zone tied to intimacy, shared resources, debt, and emotional trust. New moons open chapters. Eclipses accelerate them. So this is not a slow simmer. It is a reset switch, landing precisely where you keep your most guarded material. There is a second thread running underneath this. Chiron, the wounded healer, continues its long transit through Taurus, and today it is activating something specific for you around younger people, students, or anyone you mentor. This placement often corresponds with a pull toward unconventional teaching, toward showing someone a path that is not safe or tame, but real. Many people carrying this transit find themselves naturally cast as a guide, and the lesson they end up teaching is usually one they needed to learn first. Meanwhile, in Vedic or sidereal tradition, the moon is currently transiting Cancer, which for many Capricorns activates domestic and emotional terrain. This is a different zodiac framework than the Leo eclipse, calculated along a different axis, but notice what it is pointing at. The Vedic moon says, be careful with your words at home today. The Western eclipse says, be honest about what you have been hiding in your closest bonds. Two separate systems, two separate calculations, and yet both are describing the same emotional weather. Things said in private matter more than usual right now. Later in the day, Mercury forms a sextile with Uranus, a much gentler aspect that tends to arrive like a sudden shortcut. This is the moment we will come back to because it changes how the 8th house story ends. Love. This is where the eclipse speaks loudest. If you are in a relationship, today's energy can surface a question that has been sitting unspoken for a while. Something about vulnerability, money you share, or how safe you actually feel being fully known by this person. You may have noticed a pattern where you would rather keep control by revealing only what feels necessary, and that instinct, while protective, can quietly block the closeness you say you want. Here is the tension worth naming. What looks like your partner pulling back might not be rejection at all. It might be uncertainty about whether you will let them in. The astrology today does not guarantee a breakthrough conversation, but it does suggest the conditions are unusually favorable for one, if you are willing to ask the real question instead of the safe one. For anyone single, this same 8th house current often shows up as intense chemistry rather than casual interest. A connection that complements your energy in an unusually smooth way could surface, and it may feel like it is moving fast. That speed is not necessarily wrong, but due diligence protects you from mistaking intensity for compatibility. Let attraction be real without letting it skip the part where you actually learn who this person is. And here is the piece most people miss. The Vedic moon in Cancer, sitting quietly underneath all of this, is what determines your tone. The eclipse gives you the opening to be honest. The Cancer moon determines whether that honesty lands as intimacy or as conflict. Choose your words with unusual care today, and the same conversation that could wound someone becomes the one that finally brings you closer. Career. The theme of hidden material does not stay contained to relationships. It tends to bleed into how you handle responsibility and resources at work too. You may notice a moment today where staying quiet about a concern, a workload issue, a financial detail, or a disagreement with someone in authority feels easier than raising it. The same energy asking you to name the unspoken part in love is asking the same thing here. If you have been mentoring someone younger, whether formally or informally, that dynamic may intensify now. The Chiron current running through Taurus favors bold, unconventional guidance over cautious, by-the-book advice. You might find yourself encouraging someone to take a risk you would not have sanctioned a year ago. That is not recklessness, that is growth, though it is worth remembering that pushing boundaries occasionally means pushing past a limit you did not know existed. There are always unwritten rules, and today you may discover one by testing it. Stay especially attentive to your standing with a supervisor or authority figure. The general daily forecast for you leans toward friction here if focus slips, so this is a day that rewards precision over improvisation at work. Money. Financial matters today carry real weight, and largely in a promising direction. Practical decisions made now about savings, shared expenses, or a joint financial arrangement tend to land well, especially compared to decisions made on impulse. The 8th house current specifically favors clarity around shared resources, joint accounts, debts, or even a windfall arriving through an unexpected channel over the coming months. Here's the part worth sitting with. Financial trust and emotional trust are not separate conversations right now. They are the same conversation. If there is a shared resource you have not discussed honestly with a partner, business associate, or family member, today's energy makes that conversation more productive than it would normally be. Naming the actual concern, rather than hinting at it, is what turns a vague tension into a workable agreement. Health. Physical well-being benefits from simple, consistent attention today. Staying active, drinking enough water, and stretching well are more than generic advice right now. They are a direct antidote to the tension this 8th house energy can create in the body. Reproductive health also deserves a little extra attention, not out of alarm, just awareness. Here is the insight worth holding on to. What feels like anxious energy in your body today may actually be unspoken emotional material looking for an exit. You have been asked twice already, in love and at work, to say the thing you have been holding back. If you do not, that unspoken part does not disappear. It tends to relocate into your shoulders, your stomach, your sleep. Speaking honestly about what is genuinely on your mind is not just emotionally useful today, it is physically regulating. That is the real shift. Later today, when Mercury forms its easier connection with Uranus, many people find an unexpected, practical solution arrives, often related to a health routine, a daily responsibility, or a work logistics problem that has been quietly draining energy. It tends to show up almost sideways, a small idea or shortcut you had not considered. Stay open to solutions that do not look like the ones you were expecting. Home and family. With the moon moving through Cancer in the Vedic sky, domestic and family dynamics deserve gentler handling today. This transit can heighten sensitivity at home, meaning small comments land bigger than intended on both sides. If a disagreement starts brewing with a family member and you cannot resolve it cleanly in the moment, it may be wiser to pause rather than push it to conclusion under this particular sky. This is also fertile ground for the mentoring energy we touched on earlier. If there is a younger relative or family member you have taken under your wing, today may bring a moment where you are teaching them something that is not in any manual: how to handle disappointment, how to negotiate a boundary, how to ask for what they actually need. You may find that the more unconventional your guidance, the more it actually lands. Travel in spirit. If travel plans are flexible today, there is a case for patience rather than movement. The general planetary weather favors staying grounded, letting logistics settle, and postponing anything non-essential rather than pushing through friction. This is not a hard rule. It is simply a nudge that today rewards steadiness over urgency. Spiritually, this is a day for turning inward toward what you actually trust and who you actually trust it with. The 8th house eclipse asks a quiet question underneath everything else happening today. What would it feel like to stop managing your image and simply be known. You do not have to answer that fully today. You just have to notice it. Lucky signs. If you are looking for small, low-stakes ways to align with today's energy, wearing something in yellow is considered by some Vedic practitioners to invite a steadier, more positive mood, particularly useful given the emotional sensitivity of the Cancer moon. Scheduling anything genuinely important, a conversation, a decision, a negotiation, between 6:35 and 7:35 in the evening is considered an especially favorable window today. Compatible energy today tends to come from people who value directness over diplomacy, and your luckiest conversations are likely to happen one-on-one rather than in a group. Today's guidance. If there is one thread tying every part of today together, it is this. The silence you noticed earlier, the one that felt heavier than words, was never really about someone else withholding something from you. It was a mirror. Today's sky, across every tradition watching it, from the Western eclipse in your house of intimacy to the Vedic moon shaping your home life to Chiron reshaping how you guide others, keeps circling back to the same instruction. Say the real thing. Name the actual concern. Ask the honest question instead of the safe one. You do not need a dramatic conversation to honor this energy. You need one honest sentence, offered to the right person, at the right moment, ideally somewhere in that early evening window. State the concern. Name the limit. Offer one change you are actually willing to maintain. Trust, today more than most days, is built through workable terms, not grand gestures. Say the true thing, and notice what becomes possible right after you do.